Welcome to another episode of the Coaching Collective podcast, the community for coaches by coaches. Now here are your hosts, Ed Hamilton and Paul Blackford.
Hey team, welcome back to another episode of the TCC podcast. I am obviously one of your hosts, Ed Hamilton, and with my co-host, Paul Blackford. And we are back with another guest. I wanted to say in my head, I'm like a special guest, but all of our guests are special. But this is a pretty unique one and one we're really excited about, particularly with Charlee. Charlee coming onto the podcast. Charlee is one of the new trainers and coaches that has joined the team with us at the Movement Fitness in Dunsborough, Western Australia. If you're an international listener, we're just on the south bit, right at the end on the west coast, so you can come check us out. But yeah, Charlee's new onto the team, and we've been talking a lot on the podcast about particularly onboarding new coaches, education. The onboarding process has been something that, if you've listened to a few of the episodes that me and Paul have been banging on a little bit about. And so we wanted to take this opportunity to get Charlee on board, as she is just finished or finishing off currently her certifications and starting her fitness journey from scratch or from the start, right? So it's a really good opportunity for us to talk about how that onboarding process has been, how she's found kind of getting into things, and a little bit of a different perspective from obviously some of the coaches that we've had on before. So welcome, Charlee. Good to have you on.
Thank you. So nice to be here and chat. I feel like I am probably one of your key target audience people. So it's nice to be on and chat about my experience and kind of be the guinea pig in a way of that bridging piece between finishing my certs and joining the coaching world. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, long-term listener.
Number one fan.
Yeah, number one
Top
fan.
0.001%.
We'll get straight into it, and we'll hit the first one that we always go through with any new coach. And again, this is cool because it's going to be maybe a little bit of a different perspective of not having maybe a ton of experience with it, but like what you envision for it. But what does coaching mean to you? What does being a coach or stepping into this role, what does that mean to you to take on that role for someone?
So far, through doing group training, coaching for me has been about being like guidance and support to help people grow. That's pretty broad speaking, but growth as in how someone can be the best version of themselves, and guidance being whether that's helping them with how they're moving or providing knowledgeable direction in a way that they can use and build themselves to be a better person. So yeah, I think it's pretty empowering and builds good self-esteem and confidence when people can realize how good it feels to work on yourself. And yeah, that's about it.
I like that in regards to it, and I'm just thinking about what we spoke about at Wednesday at our staff meeting. That's something that I didn't know about you. We've talked about before, like how it's the lens that you really look through from your previous experiences. So I know hearing on Wednesday for you that you had a background of doing some teaching, and immediately you talk about what coaching is and it's guidance and it's getting more out of people. Is that something that you maybe feel comes from that background regarding like the education piece? And maybe like we have here, maybe speaking a little bit about what you've done previously before getting into the process of wanting to become a trainer?
Yeah, so in school, trace it back a few years, but I used to play footy, so I was into a bit of sport. Always liked that fitness side of things, did like the sport program in school, and I always idolized my phys ed teachers. There was a lot of pressure to go to uni, seeing where I wanted to fit into it all. The idea of teaching was appealing to me pretty much just because I was interested in physical education. I ended up moving down to Dunsborough from Bunbury and taking on a primary teaching course online through university, and didn't really love it too much. I had a background of 8 years of doing group fitness training. I've always loved doing that. I used to volunteer, just helping pack up and set away at a local F45 in Bunbury as well. So I just really wanted to expose myself into being involved in environments I felt more comfortable in. So I ended up quitting uni and going on to start taking classes at an F45. So yeah, I think through a leadership role in footy in school and wanting to lead my class or team in school, I felt like it was a bit of a destiny for me to go on and do some coaching roles. So yeah, always had a real interest in it.
Yeah, awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, so good. And like we said, it always does come back from people's backgrounds, and obviously being very fresh and talking about there's niching down and stuff like we talked about like that. But you're so fresh into it that lens is where you start, and you can look through, and okay, I'm like it's like one of those things where I'm here to help everyone. And I think only over that time of the experience, like being in the industry, that you'll like again, or maybe you'll narrow your focus. Or we've spoken to people like Chris Kessel, who's kept himself being broad in that as well. But yeah, it's cool to hear the lens that you're looking through things to begin with, and obviously getting the interest to start up with this. And then on that, obviously stepping into one of the main things that we talk about a lot regarding like the onboarding process for certifications. I wanted to speak to you because you've got this really nice blend of like you're stepping into the industry, you're taking classes. I didn't realize that you'd had been doing a little bit of that before, but taking classes, looking to come in now as to the PT role, and maybe doing some like smaller groups to start with, and then maybe one-on-ones, and then maybe trickling into more like one-on-twos or one-on-threes. And we wanted to talk about, particularly with you today, how your process or how you felt you've gone through the Cert 3-4. I think you've been doing it mainly remotely or all remotely, and getting to dabble in the world now of doing it hands-on and the practical side of, okay, here's all this stuff that I've learned. Can I turn this knowledge into skills, right? Can I make this stuff actually practical? And your experience so far in that process of, okay, how is my Cert 3 and 4 actually correlating over to real world PT, real world coaching?
Yeah, so I was recommended a course through my old workplace. So I took that as advice and went on to study with this company. My experience, I think there was a lot of points where I wanted to just jot down and reach out about how they could improve their service. But my main focus was just getting the work done. So haven't really followed up on the feedback for the courses yet, but I would definitely say I would appreciate some more hands-on experience with this course. With teaching, you have to do all your practical hours. With apprenticeships, you have to do all your trade hours as well. I think with a job like this, which is so hands-on, so social, involved with people, so many skills to learn that you have to practice physically and in the environment, I think there needs to be a lot more, like work experience hours, I think like you guys have mentioned before. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just maybe a little bit more variety. I know there's a bit of variance in different courses about what you study. There was a lot of program heavy stuff for me, not enough of the actual movement side of things that I really appreciate and I think are really important, recognizing how to improve form. And I think I've gained the most out of mentoring through Cal at the movement, going to seminars with my old workplace. We went and just had chats with some knowledgeable people, which was really nice. And just like workshop based learning is really good, and shadowing, which I've been so lucky to be offered from all you guys as well. So
I
definitely
think
just putting yourself out there for that.
you're smack on with that comment about what you've got again from the mentoring with Cal. And I was actually going to ask just to elaborate a little bit more on what that is. But I think more so was your comment about the fact that you can have different experiences, or there's different focuses for different courses that lead to the certs in Cert 3, Cert 4 and fitness, but different companies will provide a different experience.
It's really
Based
important
on
around as well.
But like Eddie said, you're in I believe, a unique situation where the people in and around the gym and the movement specifically, we've had a few runs at this in regards to like trainees coming through, and we've seen where the different places that they've come from. And I really feel with you coming in, it's actually been a very smooth sort of transition of your path into being a part of our coaching community at the gym. And I think that's due to the fact that we've almost developed our own way. Sure, certs have the specific things that they have to cover in order to tick the boxes, but when it boils down to it, it is that real world hands-on experience you're talking about that is the most important thing. And yeah, you said it. There's the trades have specific trade time that they have to do. Apprenticeships have work experience and hands-on time. I just don't know if there's enough. Eddie, you and I talk about this. I just don't know if there's enough in the standard sort of Cert 3, Cert 4 for a person to come out of those certifications and be confident.
I guess one of the things that, again, the idea behind this podcast and getting as many different coaches on, and particularly new coaches, and talking about that is, I'd love you to answer this question, Charlie. It's, what did you feel the courses did well, and where were the holes in the courses that need to be filled? And then how do we, who have been in like the industry or maybe have that experience or a little bit more knowledge into those, how can we help fill those gaps? Or, and again, we put into the our Discord community chat the other day, the launch of, to maybe talk about this a little bit at the end as well, but the PT Launch Academy, which is an initiative from Dan Williams, Bryn Williams, and Bodie Webster up in Perth regarding like the middle gap between finishing Cert 4s and jumping into Cert, I guess it would be the Cert 5, okay, after that Cert 4, and like getting real world experience. And I guess why I really wanted to get out of today's conversation is like, where does this, because Paulie's mentioned it heaps, the Cert 3 and 4 does serve a purpose. As you step into the industry, where did you feel like that served you well? And then again, touching on like, where did you feel like it really let you, or if it has let you down in terms of being prepared to step into the space?
I think it would be beneficial through other courses, to be honest. I'm thinking it might just be the company I went with being, unfortunately, not what I was looking for. They do offer in-person experiences to do your practical work. I have chosen to do a remote learning experience, and I can highly recommend, if you're a social learner, which if you're doing a PT course, you're highly likely to be a social learner, to definitely just jump on doing the course as much in class as you can, reaching out, doing your hours properly with somebody, just to, really get that social learning experience. I think you'd learn so much more from people just talking about how they've gone about things and their own experiences as well. I'd like to see a bit more like better communication. I went with a company who was based over east. Their hours didn't match up to mine, so making sure that your hours really match up to their working hours as well. The communications took about maybe 3 to 5 days to hear back on small questions, and you had to book a call to reach out for support. So this often wasn't matching up with my routine and work hours alone. Yeah, I think if I could recommend to anybody, it would be in-class learning and just really putting yourself out there, like how I was doing just offering to pack up and set up at the gym. You'll be around like-minded people where you can chat, you can get these networking connections and build on that. Or when I moved down here, I reached out to a friend who was running the F45 down here as well. And yeah, she got me going with like good networks as well, chatting to different people. And I think these conversations need to be had. You've got to put yourself out there and get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Just new experiences. Yeah.
And I guess to get a little bit more specific on that, like what you said on the start, I wish there was a bit more like movement stuff or this and that. I guess if we look at a module setting through the course, and then again, like stepping into the real world, it's okay. I've actually been able to take that from my course and apply it to here, and I've been able to take that from my course and apply it here. Or has it just been like, and again, we've had this conversation with a few trainers that have come through. It's I'm just here ticking boxes, and I'm going to get my certifications, and then all the other stuff that you just said that's really important regarding networking and just getting yourself out there, doing a bit of free work, which is definitely something I would recommend in regards to exactly what you did. Get in, clean up, help the class, be around people. Is that I've just ticked the box and it hasn't really necessarily had much carryover or any in this particular case with this certification? Or has there been some things you've gone through that you're like, cool, I'm actually using that straight away, trying to set up my own business?
Yeah, I think unfortunately I'm pretty much going to admit it was ticking the box, but the eagerness I have to learn about more and the interest I have in learning about form and all the little details, sometimes I want to dive in too deep, even though I'm just learning new things, like even just chatting to you guys during class or shadowing with Cal. That's where I really have picked up all my learning so far and my own personal experience just training myself. So yeah, I would actually say I haven't had much takeaway from this at all. Maybe like a little bit in regards to programming with strategy of like volume and intensity, but basically studying peer studies in school, I've learned a lot more doing that, to be honest. So
Yep.
yeah, it's unfortunate, but it's nice to get it done and be really motivated to keep growing. Like I said, even my goal as a coach is like guidance to grow with people. And I think that applies to all coaches as well. Just making sure you're continuing your learning and not just ticking the box and then saying that's good enough. And yeah.
Like even with the last, with some, it's like the fact that you're so intrinsically motivated and you're just passionate about fitness and health, and you're willing then to go like, all right, I've done that part. Now the real stuff kind of starts. But it is the thing that popped up in particular. So the example of Summer, which was like that ill preparedness actually got to the point for her where it was like, I don't want to do this anymore because I feel so underprepared that it's stressful. I'm not sure if I'm doing things right. Am I going to hurt someone? How do I do this? How do I do that? Am I making all the wrong decisions? And it's, again, a big point of this podcast as we keep going with them is like, there has to be some change. We need to start figuring out through consistency of having these conversations, where do we need to fill the gaps? Because again, it's something that me and Paulie talk about a lot. Should we do a curriculum? Should we do a workshop? What do people need? What are new trainers not getting out of their things? And I think it really helps me, and I'm sure us in particular, I'm sitting here thinking, we could do a fucking workshop on anything by the sounds of it, and it's going to be beneficial for these new trainers coming through where they're going to learn something. And I feel like there's a duty of care then to be like, okay, if you are brand new in the industry, come and do this workshop on sales with Paul Blackford, or this workshop on movement assessments with me, or whatever it is. But it's actually quite annoying to hear that it's that, in this case in particular with this company, it's like that, because I can see it from you, and we talk about it with all the other trainers that we speak to, with the, like from Jenna to all these new people that we talk about. It's like the number one thing you need to do as a coach is care. If you care, like you will figure out a solution because you're motivated enough to go and find the solution. You'll go and ask someone, you'll go clean the room and hang out with people, and you'll go and do all those things. But I just feel like it shouldn't be like that. Obviously, you need to be motivated to do the course in the first place. But like any trade, you shouldn't just be stepping on as a chippy and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know any of these tools. And now I'm going to go and assist this person to build this house. I just get frustrated when we consistently hear that. But it does just reinforce that we do need to do this. We need to make it clear that there's an issue and hopefully bring some light to it. And then we can start to make some change.
Sure. I'd love to see workshops. Yeah, a lot based on recognizing good form and how to spot inconsistencies. There was no video assessment at all, which is pretty much one of the main things you should do to ensure someone is moving safely, which is a number one thing. The programming can wait, I believe. There's a lot more importance in how someone's moving well, and then you can narrow it down to if they have specific goals, yes, moving into tailoring a program to suit them. But as well as marketing, setting up your business, I've reached a point now where I'm like, okay, so what do I do? Which it's really exciting. I've got all this time to go out. I really am keen to go find new studies, build my knowledge. In that stage of, do I just jump into it and fail, or do I continue studying until I feel ready? But yeah, I think it's a good balance between continued education and also just throwing yourself in the deep end a little bit, as long as you've got people to chat to and get that feedback and improve yourself.
And that's the other thing, right? Like you just said, you've got all this time, and that time should now be equipped with all the things that you've just come out of this time, like this money that you've spent and this time that you've put into this course. It should be like, I'm going to hit the road running with these tools that I've gotten. And instead it's, I've through the door. Now what? Where do I go and spend my money? What course should I do? What should I do to get better at this thing that I've done? And it's just like, okay, yeah, like I keep saying, like there's got to be some change here. But not to harp on that too long. And again, and we've spoken about it a little bit, like on a more of a positive note, talking about this mentoring that you've been doing, obviously at the gym, we see you around like being able to jump into the PTs, but in particular, you'll work with Cal. So Cal is the head coach and owner at the Movement Fitness, and you, Charlie, you've been doing some work with him now for a couple of months, I think, or like a little while now. So just want to talk about that in particular, and then maybe trickle feeding into the next thing that we want to talk about, which is, the network, the environment of the workplace. And even in that, and bundle all this into one question at the Movement, but through this process, what have been some of the biggest learning curves for you already heading through this like mentorship and just being involved at the gym and working at the gym for you?
Yeah, first of all, I'm so lucky to be welcomed into the community at the movement. I'm loving it so far. And it's so nice to have people who are really keen to just lift you up and build you up and get you going in the right direction. So, pretty much a coach for a coach, which is so important. And I think that's a really key role that you guys are aiming to do as well, just coaching coaches and moving people in the right direction. Working with Cal has been so good. I see him once a week for an hour and we just have chats. I'll come in, bring my questions. He'll run me through breaking down movements. We've been chatting about programming recently and just any questions that I have, he'll help tidy it up. Yeah, it's really nice to have pretty much a mentor. And back to our discussion about work experience hours, I think it's so important to have a variety of people as well. So coming into the movement, all the different coaches we have in our meetings, it's like such a variety and it's so refreshing to hear from all different points of view, all different experiences, and yeah, just really putting yourself out there to be exposed to a variety of different people. You're not done once you finish your certs and had one mentor even. I think it's important to continue connecting, networking with multiple people and yeah, different experiences really.
I like that point that you just said, because that's what Paulie mentioned, I think, to you on Wednesday, which was like you said, it's more than having one mentor. And Paulie was like, you training yourself, you're a mentor and learning. And then it's Paulie had Cal program for a while, then he's done Marcus Philly, then he's done this, and then we're training a bit together now. And it's like and for me, I did that by myself. I had Dan, then I had Carter as a coach, then I've done a lot of stuff for myself. And it is really important to get exposed to as many different ideas, because in this industry it's so open, right? I think one thing that stuck with me that someone said, was that strength coach's name, Paulie, that we were talking about, that Sean.
Oh, McInroy.
He's the strength and conditioning coach for the female West Coast Eagles team that were down recently.
Oh no, sorry, I don't know his name.
I think it's Sean Connolly. Look that up.
But yeah.
What I really liked is what he said
in the show notes.
Yeah, we'll link in the show notes. He said something like, there's a million different methods, but only a handful of principles. So like everything comes down to the same thing that we're trying to achieve. Like principle wise, there's only a select amount of things that we need to achieve out of a session. You can do it in as many million different ways that you want. And we've spoken that before. It's, do I train this many times a week? Do I do upper body? Do I do full body training sessions? How much volume? How much intensity? Do I do a straight set? Do I cluster? There's a million different things. And I think that's where a little bit of the confusion comes in. But if you can hone it back down to just like refining down to the main principles of what you're trying to achieve, something like progressive overload, progressive stimulus, it's like just there's only a couple of things that you actually need to achieve out of your training sessions. However you want to go about it, you're only going to do that through learning, and you're only going to do that through experience. So yeah, I think that's really cool. And again, like I said at the end there, has there been anything that's caught you off guard in regards to the big learning curve so far of, oh shit, like I wasn't realizing like maybe that was going to be involved, or how much it takes to do this, or is there anything that stood out to you as like maybe a bit surprising stepping into the industry?
I just think realizing that you do have to get uncomfortable and put yourself out there. So there might be a barrier that's stopping you, such as like a fear to get up in front of a class or just go for what you want to do. And I think you just got to get uncomfortable and practice and really seek feedback from your mentors and even whoever you are training with as well. I think that has been a big learning curve for me, just practicing being uncomfortable and going away from the session, seeing how I went, seeing how I can improve, and just coming back with my own idea of how I can improve my tools and do better. And I think finding a good motive into why you're doing this as well. So I just think my interest in this area is just really strong, and yeah, going ahead with that and really holding myself to that and following along with it.
That's your favorite thing, isn't it, Paulie? Everything's just data. It's all data.
That's it. It's all information. It's not, there's always a positive or a negative slant on whatever you do, and that has emotional impact. But yeah, like it's all just data. I think Adam said during the meeting that you've got to find what you don't like you actually have to dig in and do some stuff that's, oh, yuck, I really don't want to train that type of person, or no, bodybuilding's not for me, or whatever the case may be. You've actually got to give it a go and realize, hey, that's out for the moment. I'm going to try some other stuff. Yeah, it's all
Cool.
data.
And then obviously just a little bit more about you. So you're brand new into the industry. You're setting up your own PT space. It's at the moment it's trained with Charlee. If we're going to link
Yeah.
into the show notes. So talk to us about that. You're stepping in. It's trained with Charlee. What's this all about? What's the goals? What's the vision? What's the intent for you to step into? I know we talked about what coaching means to you, but from the business side of things and what you're looking to do in the next 3 months, 6 months, big vision. Yeah, fill us in. What's the plan?
So I'm really keen to build a community, I think dominantly of females, open to training with all, but just creating a really empowering and inclusive community to help guide people towards growing and just being a better version of themselves. It brings me so much joy seeing someone like do something hard and realize they can do hard things. And I think, yeah, that's just such positive feedback for myself. And I know it's good for other people as well. So just working on that, helping people build and, yeah, challenge themselves just to build their self-esteem, self-confidence, and realize the importance of movement and just enjoying it. I think, yeah, it's a really good, healthy thing to motivate among, especially young females. And yeah, I'm really keen.
There's 3 coaches on a podcast. When Charlee starts talking about and smiles when she starts talking about, I just want people to see when they do hard things, and like you smiled, Paulie, and I smiled, and it's just that like intrinsic thing when you see people breaking past barriers or getting people to do things like you said that they didn't think possible or to
surprising
do,
themselves.
exactly. Yeah. And I think it's just really funny to see that because it's so ingrained in the type of person that steps into being that role that we all understand what that feels like. We all understand, even when, and it's like when you had that ages ago, Paula, you were talking about your client that did all the walking or something or lost a certain amount of weight, and you were so pumped in the meeting when we were talking about it, and like everyone that's in the meeting is just like frothing it. And it's like it's all those things like some of that, like it's long hours and there's a lot of work to do and you're in charge of everything and whatever. There's a fair bit that goes into being a PT, but I think if you just never lose that intrinsic like core reason why you do it is again for helping people, it always comes back to that. It's you're definitely starting on the right track, and like I said at the start, like as long as you care, you'll figure out the rest of it. And from these chats, it's okay, we've got people that care, maybe let's just like tee these people up with some better knowledge and skills before they come in so they can take that caring and make some positive steps forward straight away and feeling like they're ready for that. Definitely. And that's like probably the main takeaway, like coming in and having more of these chats with new coaches in particular and doing some mentoring. And then I guess that kind of leads us in a little bit with the new coaches and mentoring and that standpoint of starting up this thing with Paulie from like obviously nothing and just like some conversations and wanting to help in this space, and more like with TCC, the idea of creating that network for you or for people remotely to be in contact with as many coaches as they can, and a safe space to ask questions and share info or just reach out to people. So being new and jumping in and being a part of that, how have you found even just the small bits of what we've been doing at the start here? How do you feel and what are your thoughts on the idea of the TCC for new trainers like yourself coming in and like recommendation, I guess, for getting, like you said, taking a step, taking a leap, just jump in, get involved and get going? Yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I think just a reliable platform to read from. There's so much info out there today, like a lot of younger people obviously exposed to TikTok and Instagram, and you've got all sorts coming in and it's quite overwhelming at times. So unless you're following along with the course you've bought and moving forward with that, I think TCC is such a good opportunity to, just have almost casual chats with quality info and just hitting all scopes of things. So you've got your business section, you've got, I'm not sure, you guys have a whole bunch of different things, just covering all topics. And I think it's really good bringing like-minded people together. People who are keen will obviously find you guys or decide to join on and expose themselves to this knowledge platform and just help build each other up together. I think it doesn't need to be competitive or just building together. Yeah.
Do you remember the chat we had this morning, Charlie, when you said that you weren't sure that whether you'd have enough to talk about today in the podcast? And I think just talking about the community now, do you remember what I said to you in regards to it's your filter? It's your unique filter. It's the coaching world through Charlie's eyes. That's actually what, we want to talk to you about, because no one else has that perspective. And I think that's a strength of what we're trying to create with the coaching collective is each and every person in there, each and every coach in there, it's their unique view that's coming to us from their filter. And that's super powerful, because you go in there and you start reading about some of the questions and the answers and the stories that people have in their coaching days. And CK put one in during the week about a journey with a client. And it's just like, it's super, super motivating and energizing to have everyone's input from their own perspective, which is unique. There's always something to learn. Like I love that there's a space like that to continuously go back to and continuously learn from people like you and Ed.
I think 100% like having Charlie on, and just any new coach that jumps on and listens to this episode in particular is like going to get, like Paul said, going to get the perspective of someone that is in their shoes. So yeah, sure, we've had Mel and Carter and CK and business owners who've gone through their process and been in the industry for a long time. But the real thing of starting fresh, you're going to be able to talk to a lot more people that are in that boat. And sure, hey, however many people listen to this, maybe only whatever, no one does, or it's still going to be there for someone at some point that they're maybe going to jump on and see it when it gets posted or whatever. And it's cool. That's such a cool thing for you to just be a part of it as the start of your journey. And yeah, Paulie said it's unique to you. And well, I know for me, I'm pumped to have you in. And I just love people that are keen. So like I keep coming back to, you care? Shit, yeah, I'm all in. Let's do it. Whatever you want to do, whatever you want to know, whatever you want to learn. I got a shit ton more stuff that I need to learn too. So let's just do it together. And yeah,
you got a great attitude, Charlie. And I think that's like something that you can't teach. That's something that someone comes in with at their core, and that willingness to learn, and you're very open to taking on information, and it's super cool to see. Super cool to see your growth. Yeah.
And then
it's really nice to be supported by role models as well. So it's really cool.
Oh,
stop it. Yes.
That's awesome. You've got to surround yourself with people who can help you grow for sure.
But I think that is a good point in regards to like continually pushing this. And it's right now, hey, there's 20 some people in the chat. It's cool. You keep going with it. Imagine you have 50 coaches in there, 100 coaches in there. And like the network of people that you get to chat with simply out of, like you said at the start, like that just care and might have 2 cents that you have no idea about on a certain topic, or put a question in there that gets you thinking about, oh shit, like never really thought about that. It's just that's what I like and envision for this. It's just like that continual growth of more people, more stories that we get to build off from. And then down the road, we meet a Charlie in a few years, a new person coming on the board, and there's more people in that chat, and they get, from their certifications, they get popped into a network of 300 coaches. And it's ask a question. There's a bunch of people in here that want to help. Cool. And that's just what I would love to keep working towards and building towards. Because like we've said before, and we said on the episode with Summits, then we can help guide and help cater for people that are as passionate and as willing as you, and not lose good coaches to the fact that they feel underprepared again. It's like, how about TCC could be that, like that network, that family, that home? Because again, like we said, not everyone is as fortunate, maybe I'm being biased, but as fortunate to have a community like we do at the gym, where we've got 7, 8, 9 coaches that are so keen on helping and doing that through at the movement. Someone might be slugging it out at Jets 24/7 in fucking Coburn,
isolated as well a lot of the time.
Sorry, Jets.
Exactly. Sorry, Jets Coburn 24/7. Maybe it's Snapchat. Maybe it's any time. I don't know. But nothing to do with the gym.
Maybe I should beat that out.
Maybe you want to sponsor us. I don't know. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents. But again, we'll wrap it up. But I have one question for you. And maybe off the back of all the stuff we've talked about, it might be that obvious question, but maybe you've got a different sort of opinion on it. But being fresh, being new into it, obviously from your experience, like I said, what's one thing so far that you would like to see change, or something that we'd like to improve on in the fitness industry, serve yourself better or to serve other people coming through?
Yeah, I think definitely just hands-on learning is number one for sure. But if you are signing on to a course or thinking about doing personal training, I 100% recommend, if you want to learn through the paid certifications you're doing, just choose the in-person experience. And if you are not able to access this, I think just making sure you're really putting yourself out there with approaching a wide range of different coaches, shadowing, practicing, trial, error, get feedback, and just really work on putting yourself out there through practice and experience, as anything works in that way, really. Practice to improve and make sure you're seeking feedback and being really open to that. I think adjusting the certs might be a cool thing to look at, recommending how they can incorporate more like recognizing form and movement patterns and perhaps a little bit more of the business side of things rather than just a lot of multiple choice and voluminous assignments.
Cool. Nice.
I think
awesome.
TCC is a really good way to create this bridge and create a community for discussions. Good on you guys.
Awesome. So good.
Thanks,
Thanks, Charlie. Thanks so much for taking the time to come on, mate. And I'm stoked that we get to hang out like pretty much every day now back at the gym, which is cool. And we can continue to have more conversations like this. Again, I will just do a little shout out to the end and we'll put the link in the resources in the show notes. But as what Charlie was speaking about there for something to see this improvement in, there is something for coaches that are out in the industry if you're looking for it. It's just been launched, PT Launch Academy, again by Dan Williams, Bryn Williams, Bodie Webster up in Perth. If it's at Osborne Park, I don't know if it's at Range of Motion or how they're running this, but we'll leave the thing there. This is the start of that little gap between Cert 4 and being a coach, like in the industry, what real world sort of practice looks like. So as much as we can be
based on the other stuff that we're aware of from Dan Williams, it's going to be solid for sure.
Yeah. So if we can be, like we've talked about, small voice that kind of helps if someone hears this and goes and checks it out, then great. But that's the way that we talk to Charlie and other coaches, and that's what the continual consistent message that we get is that there needs to be something. Well, for here at the moment there is, if you want to go check that out. Again, Charlie, thank you for taking the time to come and have a chat with us. We will see you in the gym, assuming tomorrow, and then thank you.
Thanks for having me. So nice to chat and pretty chilled chat, but I hope someone can get something out of it and relate.
We love chilled
mate.
Podcasts. See you, Charlie.
See ya, thank you.
See you, mate. Bye. And then I finish with these ones every time.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Coaching Collective podcast. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and YouTube. Join all the action on the Coaching Collective Discord community by visiting join.thecoachingcollective.eu/sign up. See you in there soon, coaches.